I did, in fact, need to go to the ER. One fateful day I was visiting my boyfriend, August 2020 to be exact, so COVID was still majorly affecting everyone's day-to-day lives, which plays a role later on in this story. Anyway, I started getting extreme chills. I was under 3 blankets with my boyfriend trying to warm me up with his body heat and couldn't stop shaking to the point of my teeth chattering. I was absolutely freezing. Him being 17 at the time, I was 18, we started dating my senior year of high school. Everyone. His mom put her foot down around 11 and said, "Look, I'm sorry you don't feel good, but you need to go home." After trying to stand, I ended up aggressively vomiting in the bathroom while shaking, half delirious. His mom again said I needed to go home. Well, fun for me, I couldn't get my legs to work. My boyfriend managed to drag me up until I could deadlock my legs, and then I shuffled out of his parents' house with him supporting most of my weight. I would like to mention that my mom was very serious about lockdown, and my boyfriend was the only person I was allowed to see for 6 months, after a month of not seeing anyone at all. I was about to leave for college, so my mom okayed me going to live with my best friend for a couple weeks on the condition I get COVID tested to go home. So I was going back to my friend's house in this condition, not home. My boyfriend had to pull the car over for me to vomit 3x in the 10-minute car ride there. I called my mom and told her I felt like I was dying, something was seriously wrong with me, and I needed to go to the ER. She said no, said it was probably due to me missing 2 doses, 1 day's worth of my mood regulator, 200 milligrams dose BTW. I proceeded to go back to my friend's house, and since her much older boy toy at the time had been staying there for the entire week, I was left to my own devices. I thought I was going to die that night. I spent the entire night freezing and shaking, vomiting to a bucket, and literally having to crawl through the hall when I needed to use the bathroom because I couldn't get my legs to support my weight. My mom refused to let me come home. Told me I promised to get COVID tested first. I told her I couldn't walk, let alone drive 30 minutes across town to get a rapid same-day test done. She basically told me, tough, she refused to get close to me, let alone in a car with me, and drive me because she was now convinced this was COVID. I suffered for 3 more days until the vomiting stopped. While weak, I drove across town, got the negative test, and went home. I started vomiting again that night. I also now had access to a thermometer, but my fever wasn't high enough to warrant going to the ER. 2 more days of bedridden, legs barely functioning, vomiting constantly. Finally, my boyfriend came to visit because he recognized I wasn't contagious, something was wrong, and frankly was the only one who seemed to care. My fever hit 105. He finally stormed into my parents' bedroom and said, "I'm sorry, but she seriously needs to go to the ER." My stepdad resigns to bring the one to take me, and despite COVID rules, they saw I was bad enough upon walking into the waiting room that they let him go back into the room where I got examined, blood work, and the doctor knew what was wrong almost immediately. In hindsight, the first thing they do is take your urine. But they also did blood work and put me on 4 fluids. Doctor comes in and bangs on my back and I about jump off the table. Still told me nothing, but that I needed a CT to confirm his suspicions. Results are all in. He comes back to tell me my urine was so bad I had to have one of the worst UTIs he'd seen. CT showed I had a severe kidney infection. And my blood work showed an extremely low white blood cell count. He looked me in the eye and said, "It's a good thing you came when you did. Another 24 hours, and you would have been septic and the survival rate would have been less than 50%. I spent 3 days in the hospital on intravenous antibiotics with a week of the strongest oral ones you can get after getting discharged. One of the first things I said to my mom was, "So I guess I really did need to go to the ER all along, huh?" Needless to say, my mom takes my illnesses and ailments almost too seriously now.